Alrighty, welcome back. So, going to get a couple of things going here. Just doing a last little bit of setup, so give me one moment. Alrighty, so where are we? So it's kind of playing around when we left off with our little body here, seeing if I can get away with moving this guy around. Oh yeah, the ascot's missing. What's up with that, dude? Did you literally make that a separate piece? Why? There's the neck. Where is that? Yeah. By the way, quick little trick. If you select a layer in your timeline, come over to the node view, press the letter O, and it will pretty much go ahead and select that. Dude, why are you actually way over there? Is there like a body comp? Did I make a body comp? No. Should you make a body comp? Probably. So let's do what? Control H. Da, 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 da. So I'm curious who is actually using Harmony Essentials. Because occasionally I get people yelling, you don't do anything in Essentials. But I'm trying to figure out, should we do that? You know. Sound as good, pictures clear. Eric, thank you. That means you're dude, that is awesome. Thanks for letting me know. But yeah, I've been often curious. And I guess I'll find out. I'll do a do we have enough interest to see if we can either do maybe a workshop. We'll try at a workshop first. What we've been trying to, or what we've been doing, is setting up workshops. And this is me putting the body here ahead of some things. Where is the body? There's the head. Okay, let's move this, click and move this to the front. By the way, if it's toward the left, that means it's in the front. So where's your neck, dude? Your neck is here, which needs to be behind the head, but in front of the body. Ascot needs to be in front of the neck, but behind the head? Sure. I think everyone keeps asking about master controllers, and either master controllers or like a 360 rig, and I'm like, in fairness, if I do master controllers, I'm probably going to do something more like of a 180, but not necessarily a 360. There is an awesome tutorial. Matt Dad. Eric, I actually use Harmony Advanced price. Premium is pricey. Okay. I'm curious because I've often wondered this. And I should know better, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What do you like about Harmony Advanced that's not in Harmony Essentials? Alrighty, so let me test out a few things here. All right, so it's like, how is that still missing? It's because it's not connected, dude. Hold on. Where's the ascot? There it is. Okay, can we attach you to what? The body, maybe? Where is the body? You over here. We can probably put you along here. Part of me is wondering why we actually made you separate. Now the cool thing is you can see it's a very subtle thing, but you can notice the ascot is actually changing. All right. By the way, this is a nice little, a cheap trick. If you notice the way the original piece is done, got some nice little motion there, almost as if we did that on purpose, which we didn't. It just happens to work. And let's not move that. Okay, so what was up with the, that was the other thing that was bothering me. The masking there. That's what we ran into earlier. By the way, I'm super excited. Coming up next is, what is it? Miss Dawnn Lewis, and I almost called her Jaleesa. Jaleesa Vincent is going to be on the 2D Summit. Yay! Okay, for those of you who ever watched A Different World, so yeah. That's where I first saw Dawnn Lewis, and she's I think this is the second summit she's done with us, and such an awesome person. And I didn't realize when I first met her that how many different cartoon voices she does. So it's kind of cool. But my favorite currently is she does the voice of Captain Freeman on Star Trek Lower Decks, which I love that show. Alrighty. So dude, what is up with that? I'm curious. Neck and the head. You're oh, I know why now. I was like, dude, why are the little eyelids being weird? It's because we're doing turning off my phone, because we actually have a deformer from the body going into the neck and the head, and there are deformers inside the eyes. So let me do this. One, let me reset this little guy. Select the deformer deformation body, which by the way is a what? Envelope. So ENV. And I want to add what's called a, let me go ahead and reset this little guy. Come up top to your deformation or your rigging tools, click on that so this goes back to normal. And what I need to set is something called a kinematic output, and in specifics, it's saying this body's going to get deformed, but don't deform the head, just move it. So I'm going to hit my return key. And I'm going to type in, I think I'm going to actually use a point kinematic output. All right, so I'm going to pull this in, hold on my option key. So I have a point kinematic output for our little cat head there. And what I need to do is see where the hell this point is. It's not really visible. So if I come over here to our little show controls, click once, there's that little tiny dot, and I need to move this where I want the head pinned. But again, the kinematic output basically means that it's not going to distort this. So in theory, I should be able to move the cat now, and you don't see anything weird happening with his eyes. Excellent. Very cool. And last but not least, let's pop you back over there. I think we do need to do something with your neck, dude, because it's like way too short. Go to the neck, go to my drawing view, and we'll go to where? Yeah, turn on my onion skin so I can see everything. Ah, there we are. So let's take, what the hell? So let's take the contour editor. Let's click on the bottom part of that, and we'll drag that out a little bit longer than it needs to be, just so it doesn't break my illusion. Excellent. Okay. Meanwhile, so if we go over here, go to our transform tool. Oh, wait a minute. Ugh. Or is this like way too low now? Maybe not that long. Alright, so we click on this, maybe bring this up here-ish. And here, maybe you're the ascot. Maybe that's why the ascot is there. It's hiding that. Pulling a little, what is that, Hanna-Barbera Flintstones action. It's why Fred has a tie, Yogi Bear has a tie, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, saving, because I lost all my work yesterday. Bad Tony. So, there we go. And yes, we still have our blink going on. Not bad. Alright, so let me jump back over here. Okay, Eric, we're going to talk about the differences between, what is that, essentials and advanced. The pencil, the brush, more sophisticated, and the function that is named shift and trace, the fact that we have 4 layers, overlay, and line art, and underlay. Okay, cool. Excellent. Yeah, I have to pick your brain later. So maybe I have to do that. Interesting. Yeah, maybe I'll do a class that's on essentials and advanced. And go, okay, those of you essentials users, you can't do the next thing. Alright, anyway. You turn it off. Thanks, Eric. I really appreciate that. Oh yeah, let's bring in our next guest. Let's see if I can pull this file up. So we'll be bringing in... Okay, what are we missing and why did it go? Give me 1 second here. Alright, getting rid of a few technical errors, and we'll be starting shortly. Waiting for this next file to load. I think tomorrow we actually talk to, I think it's tomorrow, we get to talk to one of the, pretty much the character lead, or lead character designer on Star Trek Lower Decks. And that's Marisa Livingston. Looking forward to that. It's a pretty cool conversation. And oh yeah, also coming up after Dawnn is Kyra Kupetsky, excuse me. La 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 la. All right, we'll be starting Dawnn's in about, I think it's, give me a minute, just having to double check my render file there on why that didn't come over correctly. Should be starting in about 3 minutes or so. But while I'm waiting, got that going. I almost want to do a head turn, but at the same time, I almost don't want to do a head turn. Like, I'm curious, can you get away with... So neck and head, there's the head and face peg. Wait a minute. Where's the face peg? Did I do a face pack? I don't think I did. Okay. Because I was trying to see if I can do this little sneaky thing here. Let's make an extra pack. Command P. Pull this into here. And change where that pivot point is. Okay. The reason I am playing with this idea, I'm trying to see if I can get away with this little cheat and make it kind of look like he's looking to a different spot, or like over there, but without moving, without changing the face. Like especially if we use the face as a mask. It's like a little cute little cheat. Meanwhile, do we have anything rendered yet? Okay. By the way, Eric, I was curious on what's the word I'm looking for? Matter of fact, let me pull up something. I'll pull up a clip from Dawn's short, and we'll see we'll see the whole thing in a second. But the short is kind of resonated pretty large. So
with the right apps and software, you can do just about anything. So why not? And then you have the platform of social media, of YouTube, of all of these other platforms with which to get your material out there. The thing now becomes monetizing and protecting it. A lot of people, I believe, in this season of instant everything, don't make it a point to protect themselves and to figure out how to monetize and make a living at what they do. Too many people, I believe, are just so eager to be seen and eager to be popular that they don't take care of the business of show. It's called show business for a reason. And the word business is twice as long as the word show for a reason, because it's more important. You got to handle your business. It's great to be part of the show, but if you don't handle your business, you're about to be taken advantage of. You're about to be frustrated. You're about to be broke.
So yeah, that was probably my favorite moment out of the. It's pretty much my favorite clip I think so far out of the entire summit this year, because it was, I don't know, it was a really cool answer to a question that I didn't even send her ahead of time. So most of the time because we do all these interviews usually pre-recorded, so I send people their questions before our Zoom call, and then sometimes I just ask stuff off the cuff. And the question I asked her, it's usually something I just kind of save for animators, but I was like, you know what, let me ask you this question. So okay, it looks like, okay, that time it rendered. Thank you. So without further ado, I apologize for the delay. Let's bring in our full piece here. Hey, this is Tony Ross for the 2D Animation Virtual Summit, and I am blessed, honored, and quite frankly, slightly giddy as a schoolgirl that I get to talk to Miss Dawnn Lewis. Hello again, and thank you for coming back.
Absolutely, Tony. How are you?
I'm doing well now that you're here. Thank you. I am digging the do, by the way.
Thank you very much.
You're quite welcome. So what have you been up to? I know what you've been up to, but tell everyone else what have you been up to, and exactly those who don't know, why are you even here?
Why am I here? You mean here at the summit, or just here and available at this particular time?
At the summit, actually. We'll do that.
Okay. Well, because I love animation. I've been doing animation now for the last few decades. And the fact that you want to celebrate animation, the fact that you want to ask pertinent questions to get some behind the scenes info and help support our journey, particularly as a voiceover actor of color. The field is not that large. So it's my privilege to be here to help shed some light on the realities of what's going on, the joys, the inconveniences, the blessings, all of it, of what we get to do as voiceover actors.
Excellent. So I think I was a quote unquote, I've said this before, but I was almost an accidental fan of your voice talents because I know you, of course, from a different world. And then I'm watching Star Trek Lower Decks, the first season, and I kept going, why do I know that voice? What is up with that voice? It's like, who is that? I'm looking like, oh my gosh. Okay. So, yeah, I'm still like in love with watching that series, and just, I love the action that's happening on there. And, like even the way that the cliffhanger, how y'all ended the last season, for those of you who didn't watch, I'm not going to do any spoilers, but it was pretty awesome. So let me ask you a couple of questions.
Sure.
I'm curious, since the last time we spoke, has anything changed about how you handle voice recording since the pandemic?
Well, I think when I spoke to you, we were in the midst of the pandemic. So since then, no, nothing has changed. We still record individually. They still take very serious and intentional precautions for our safety as each of us comes in and out as we rotate in and out of the booth. We don't record in groups anymore. Many of us would love to record in groups, but I think it may be a little easier for the producers and the directors to not have to coordinate everyone's schedules. And the fact for our show, half of our cast, we're often in different parts of the country. Like Jack, who does Boimler, is up in Canada doing The Boys. I'm often on the road. For quite a while, I was in New York on Broadway doing Tina, the Tina Turner musical. And yeah, everybody was just everywhere. Tawny was filming in Atlanta and in Texas. So I think the fact that we've gotten into this rhythm, gratefully, each of us is very familiar with each other's voices and their energies and their rhythms, that even when we're recording in isolation, it's still like I can hear Tawny's annoying voice as Beckett in my ear to sufficiently prompt me to respond accordingly. So that hasn't changed at all. I think that's going to be our new normal for some time to come. Yeah.
Awesome. So what I want to also ask you, I'm curious because I've done this. I've not done voice acting as much as I've done like recording tutorials. And I know a lot of times we've got to do several takes. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, when y'all are doing your voice work per line, how many takes do you normally have to do, or is it just kind of go for it?
It really depends on what is being asked of you. Usually you do an A, B, and C take, and it's on you as the actor to know the thrust of your intention for that particular beat. So you put different inflections. You don't do A, B, and C exactly the same way. If the director or producers, whoever is working the session that day, if in one of those three takes you give them what they need, they're on to the next thing. If they want you to try something different or maybe do an on-the-spot rewrite of some lines or encourage you to ad-lib, again, it's pretty much the same thing, A, B, and C takes until they get what it is they're exactly looking for. So I really have to give it up to our editors because they've got line by line, character by character, to piece these A, B, and C takes together until it sounds like we are in the same room, talking to each other, finishing each other's sentences, and bouncing off of each other's energy. That's got to be a Herculean job.
I would agree. That's because it's like you don't think about it. I don't think because, again, we all have grown up watching the behind the scenes that we do watch. Oh, yeah, they're doing all the voices, and you're used to seeing everyone together. So in our heads, Yeah, that's still happening. But yeah, I think it is interesting, not only because of the distance, but I think it's pretty cool that technology and, of course, the editors are allowing us to do
Mhm.
craziness like that.
Yeah.
So, my next question for you is, do you have a strict routine that you follow before you record? Example, maybe you're drinking tea or avoiding cheeseburgers, whatever it is.
Nope. Nope. I got a bottle of room temperature water. I didn't mean to do a commercial, but yes, I've got a bottle of room temperature water. Maybe a couple of Ricolas, depending on if it's one of those screaming Captain Freeman days where you're shouting and screaming and your throat gets a little dry. But other than that, nah, you just go for it. Not me anyway. I eat what I want to eat and just whatever. Yeah, no, sorry. There's no juicy, no juicy secrets there.
I was one of the places I actually got to go to and do recording. It was weird for me because I consider myself, I'm like really low level, and they're like, "What would you like in the refrigerator?" Wait, what? Yeah, we don't need you to go shopping. I was like, I would like sparkling water, some kiwi, and some Greek yogurt.
There you go.
And it was like, but yeah, just kind of, it's interesting to find everyone has their little things. I know for me, if I don't drink water, which I probably need to grab some now, it's like there's that, and you're not supposed to have, what is it, no dairy and all this other things, and trying to make sure your voice is going to be.
That is a personal reality. If you have adverse reactions to dairy, then you probably shouldn't be doing dairy anyway, much less just before coming on the mic. But yeah, I mean, it really is up to every individual to know their instrument, and your body is your instrument of what it takes to produce what needs to be produced. There are days where I've had a sore throat. There were days where I was just physically exhausted. You know what I mean? So you slug down a couple of energy drinks and try to lift yourself up, whatever it is that it takes. But you need to know how to utilize your instrument. As a singer, and as an actor, and as a live performer, like doing Broadway, doing stage, you find yourself in the position where, it's a cliche, but the show must go on. So if your stomach is upset, if you've got a headache, if you've got fighting a cold, whatever it is, you still have to get those words out. You still have to get those notes out as best as you can. So me personally have learned different places in my voice to literally place my sound, to be able to rise above the sore throat, to be able to not sound like I have a cold. And then as soon as I get off stage or off of the mic, then you hear the real deal. It sounds like this, so I'm talking like that. Yeah.
I love it. By the way, as a fellow Ricola fan, if you haven't tried it yet, it's dual action glacier mint. Definitely try that.
It sounds like your sinuses will be wide open.
Yeah, it is. It is the most. It was like Halls. What? No, it's really, really.
Okay.
It's my go-to.
And you find that at the regular drugstore. You have to.
You should be able to. I've found it sometimes, but then sometimes I literally have to go to Amazon because it's like what do you mean? Y'all don't have it. So, but
okay.
It's dual action.
Glacier. Oh, dual action.
Dual action glacier mint. That one in particular. It is.
Okay.
It's nice, but it hits, and it's like.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So. Now, you already answered this one question I was asking about. Do you prefer to work like with groups and things like that? I'm curious. Let me do a spin on that. So, how is it? I think doing voices, yes, you all are still doing them individually, but you're still doing musicals. So, how does that work? Are y'all practicing? Are y'all still masked up, or
no? No, I just did The Simpsons. Just did a crossover with Disney.
Okay.
Where little girl is going and she wants to join the club of some of the Disney characters, and she actually joins the club with all of the evil Disney characters, and it became a musical. So I did the voice of Ka from Jungle Book, as well as Ursula from The Little Mermaid. And no, they're like, Dawnn, this is how the song goes. They had someone recording a demo, and this is your line. So you know how to sing this line, and this line for your character, and that line for your character. And you just sing it. And it's the same as the rest of the animation, and then they piece it together. The Simpsons are always doing musical episodes.
Right.
Futurama, I do that, and Futurama has now gotten a reboot that will be back on for all of you Futurama fans. And
Okay.
I'll be returning as La Barbara. And Futurama likes to do musical things as well. So this has been a very interesting year of musical things. I also did voices for Sing 2 and Minions 3. So all of those things. What else? There was another one I did. What it was? I think it was Duncanville, where I did some voices for Duncanville, and they had a musical episode. Yeah. So last year we added to my resume Housebroken and Duncanville, in addition to a bunch of other things. And as you know, Karma's World dropped, which is another musical cartoon that's on Netflix. So yeah, everybody's, and it's all recorded the same way. They send you the demo of this is how the song goes. These are your lines. That's what we need you to record. Yeah.
Okay. So, allow me to get in your business for a minute. I know some people, they literally have like a mic and set up in their closet. Do you like have a whisper room at home, or are you just normally just running to a studio somewhere?
No, you mean to do my auditions, or to do my PSAs, or to work on the actual shows?
Let's say auditions and also sometimes actual shows.
Actual shows are in the studio that the network provides, or
Okay.
that the show itself provides. They've, like I said, they've reopened and made it safe for us to be back in studio. I don't necessarily have a studio, a recording studio in my house, but I do have a studio room, which is where I am now, which is soundproofed, and I do other kinds of recording and PSAs and things like that here in this particular room.
Okay. All right. So, if you could be in and or direct an animated feature, what would it be and why?
What would it be and why? An animated feature film. Wow, that's really hard to say because there's so many fun characters. You know, okay, this is not entirely original, but I would love to see an animated version of The Clumps.
Ooh, okay.
I think Eddie Murphy is genius in creating all of those characters and playing all of those characters. I would love to see an animated version of The Clumps and let Eddie just rip and do everything. Yeah. Yeah.
I would agree with that. Now, on that, the thing that I've always wished, and it's kind of one of those, if I can get out of my own way and get out of my own head,
Mm-hmm.
the barbecue that he did in his old stand-up.
Yes.
I want to see that animated.
There you go.
Just take the original audio and
Mhm.
that's what I've always wanted to see animated.
Hilarious.
And when I saw him doing when the clumps were coming out, and I forgot there was a claymation animation he did for a bit.
The PJs. I was on the PJs with him. Right.
Okay. You're everywhere. But yeah, when I first saw those show up, I was like, oh, maybe they're going to do the barbecue. It's like, maybe
Yeah.
they're going to do a hint
Didn't
toward it.
happen.
Nope.
Didn't happen. The PJs, that was a lot of fun. Yeah.
It's like, I think that's the interesting thing about where we are. I think in this day and time, it's like a lot easier for everyone to do their own thing. And that's what I was getting on everyone's case about recently. Which I'm trying to think, did I even send you that question? No. But it's like, you're on the voice end of things, but I was making the argument that I think with technology, the way that it is, whether you're talking about the internet or the software that's out there or all these different things, I think there hasn't been a better time for independent artists and animators to put out their own thing. And do you agree with that, or do you think it's crazy?
No, absolutely, it's not crazy. The reality is that we have more tools available us, like in the palm of our hands, than ever before. You don't have to be this amazing artist. There's so many things you can do on tablets, on computers that can help you sketch, that can help you animate, that can help you edit, that can help you color, that can help you add music. You literally, in today's computers with the right apps and software, you can do just about anything. So why not? And then you have the platform of social media, of YouTube, of all of these other platforms with which to get your material out there. The thing now becomes monetizing and protecting it. A lot of people, I believe, in this season of instant everything, don't make it a point to protect themselves and to figure out how to monetize and make a living at what they do. Too many people, I believe, are just so eager to be seen and eager to be popular that they don't take care of the business of show. It's called show business for a reason. And the word business is twice as long as the word show for a reason, because it's more important. You got to handle your business. It's great to be part of the show, but if you don't handle your business, you're about to be taken advantage of. You're about to be frustrated. You're about to be broke.
I love that. And it's like, I bring you on because, one, you're awesome. Two, because you do voices, and then you just drop little bits of knowledge like, dang, that was deep. Okay, cool. Note, make that little section, and that's what we're going to lead with. Okay, that is awesome. Now, I think I have one more thing. Like I was talking to someone, was the program GarageBand that's on Apple. And there's with GarageBand alone, you have way more equipment than the Beatles had on their first album. So it's like, just go for it. And there's like people who put out albums using like an iPad, and there's this ridiculously awesome what they're doing now. All right. I have one last question for you. What has been your favorite Lower Decks episode to date? And I understand that not all of them are out yet. So the ones that we've seen, which one is your favorite?
Well, to be honest with you, the one that was my favorite was a previous season ago, where I was really trying my best to break Mariner's spirit, to show her what a goof off she is, and hopefully get her to quit by putting through her all these tests and saying, I'm going to promote you, etc. And then we had this big catastrophe happen on the ship. And then she and I are watching the ship fall out from under us, and we're climbing down a rock wall, and we're fussing at each other as we're climbing down the rock wall. And she's like, you stop treating me like a child. And I was like, if you didn't act like a child, I wouldn't treat you like a child. And she says, oh, Carol, get off my... I said, you did not just call me Carol.
That is probably...
But that was such a fun episode to do. And earlier in the episode, we're having a talent show, and I'm in the talent show, and I'm fake scatting, and it was... I had everyone in the booth cracking up, because one of the most fun things to do as a singer is to act like you can't sing.
Yes.
Oh, that whole episode was it was so much fun for me. I got to show a completely different side of Captain Carol Freeman, because she really is just always so high strung. It's like you just want to give her some like tequila and a nice warm blanket. So please just go sit down, sip on this, and sit down, relax.
Love it.
So that episode just showed her being slick, being fun, letting her hair down, and it was fun. And I always love the opportunities for Beckett and myself to just go head to head. Tawny's brilliant.
I would agree. I think having a kid, she's not as old. It's like, I think she's trying to be that old, but I definitely feel like watching that dynamic. It's just like, yes, kind of go for it.
I love you. You annoy me. I
Yeah.
love you, but you really annoy me.
It's like,
Sounds like every mother-daughter relationship I get more comments about that. How it's like, I love your dynamic between the two of you. That's just me and my mom. That's great.
Yeah, because it's pretty much like as people refer to their kids now as this is my mini me, and it's like realizing, like my wife and I were talking about how, and we normally walk into the schools. We would do this like from pre-K all the way up. We would walk in to meet the teachers. She hadn't done anything wrong. With like, first and foremost, we remember what we were like as children, and we apologize.
Yes, first,
Letting you know, we are not the people that don't think, oh no, not my child. No,
not my child.
Probably my child. Yeah. But yeah. So let me ask you, what else do you have going on? Where are you rushing off to?
Wow. Okay. Okay. This past year, finishing up Tina, I was then brought on to, I did a couple of things with HBO. We started recording season 4 of Lower Decks. I guess I can say that. Season 3, started promoting season 3. And I got added as a recurring character to the cast of Grey's Anatomy. So for people who watch Grey's Anatomy, yes, I shut the hospital down, but just know it's Grey's Anatomy. They'll be back. So did that. And I literally just got finished shooting with Dwayne Johnson for his series Young Rock.
Okay.
Next season.
Loving that.
Thanks.
All right. This has been Tony Ross for the 2D Animation Virtual Summit with the lovely and talented and very, very busy Ms. Dawnn Wuss.
Oh, it's great to see you, Tony. Everyone, enjoy the summit. Peace. Peace, peace, peace. Oh, you know what? I really do want to mention that, though. Nichelle Nichols.
Yes. Oh, my gosh.
Okay. In addition to all the love and the success of Star Trek Lower Decks, it was a bittersweet summer for me. Nichelle Nichols, when she passed away, that hurt more than I can even express. I had literally just spoken to Nichelle just a couple of days before she passed away. The week before she passed away, we were in San Diego for San Diego Comic-Con. And our producer, Mike McMahon, had the moderator ask the question, what did I do when I found out that I booked Lower Decks? And he already knew the answer, so he knew how much it meant to me. I really wasn't prepared to tell that story again. And quite honestly, I got really emotional telling the story. I'm a lifelong Trekkie from the first day one of episode 1 of Star Trek with Captain Kirk, Spock, McCoy, Sulu, Chekhov. But the person that resonated with me, the person that struck me, the person that inspired me, the person that lifted me was seeing Nichelle Nichols on camera in the future, being smart, being a part of the team, being excellent, being a badass, being absolutely gorgeous, and making me know and believe that there's a place for me as a brown-skinned girl in the future where I don't have to hide what God has blessed me with. I don't have to hide my gifts. I don't have to hide my excellence. I can thrive in it. And then what she did with NASA and for people of color just in general. I told a story that when I found out that I was hired to play Captain Carol Freeman, that my first calls were to my brothers. We're all Star Trek fans, and I don't ever usually call them to tell them when I book something. So that was unusual in itself, was that I was calling and saying, you will never guess what I just got. And they said, nah, get out of here. I said, they're like, you a lying. I said, no, I'm telling you, I'm going to be a Star Trek captain. My next call was to Miss Nichelle Nichols, was to tell her, Shell, you will not believe, this is so full circle for me. to be so inspired by this show, to be so inspired by you on this show, to then years later for us to become friends, for us to spend time together, me at your home, you at mine. For now, for me to be an African-American woman playing a starship captain in the Star Trek franchise was just so huge. So I called her and told her that. So and I started bawling during Comic-Con, retelling that story. I'm very proud of myself right now that I'm staying composed. But after Comic-Con, when I got back home, I called Michelle and I told her that story. I said, so you're probably going to see a bunch of stuff online with me saying your name and crying. Just ignore the crying Black woman. And so we laughed about it. And she says, Dawnn, I'm now in New Mexico. I'm in the new house. And I said, yeah, I know you moved. She says, you got to come and see the new house. And I told her, okay, my summer right now is a little crazy, but as soon as things settle down, yeah, I'm going to come down and spend some time with you. So I continued on my journeys, and I was on a flight that Sunday. She passed on a Sunday, and I talked to her Thursday. I got off the plane, and I'm in baggage claim, and I turned my phone back on to see where my pickup is, the person that's supposed to meet me. And there's several texts from Tawny and a couple of other people saying, I'm so sorry to hear about Michelle. What are you talking about? And that was how I found out that she passed away. And yeah, that's how I found out that she passed away. We immediately got on the phone with Alex Kurtzman from Star Trek, the Star Trek exec producer, and crafted a way for us to honor her. So particularly the women of color in each and every Star Trek machination that exists now was able to make a statement and give a testimony about what she meant to them. Alex himself made a couple of statements. I think there were maybe just one other gentleman actually that participated in it. And I believe Kate Mulgrew also participated in it, but it was primarily us women of color on the various shows. Sonequa from Discovery and Celia from Strange New Worlds, and a few other people, some of the Asian American actors as well. And they edited it together and premiered it on Star Trek Day a couple of weeks ago. They included some comments from some NASA astronauts as well, who she inspired and spoke into their lives. And the world will miss her. The Star Trek world will miss her. I will absolutely miss her.
Thank you for sharing that. And I know that took a lot. Okay, I'm trying to hand you tissues through the screen.
I'm good. I got one.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so with that, enjoy the conference.
Thanks again. Have a good one. And again, it's always awesome to hang out with you. And hopefully we'll send you an email with some little surprises that we're working on. So
awesome. I look forward to it, Tony. Till next year.
All right. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Alrighty. So, where is my microphone? Okay, there it is. Had to make sure I still had signal. So yeah, we're running a little bit behind, but I did want to play that in its entirety. Always a pleasure talking with Dawnn, and like I said, we hadn't planned on, because I think both of us I forgot mentioning about Nichelle Nichols there. So yeah. You're welcome, Eric. That was, yeah. Dawnn is awesome. We're still working on some little things. Hopefully we'll, because she told us some stories, I think the first year she was here, and I was like, oh my God, I got to animate those. Those are hilarious. Alrighty. Now, I'm not going to jump back to Mr. Cat just yet, because they're already running a little behind. Let me go ahead and find... the next person up is Kyra Kupetsky. and she is a showrunner for Chicken Nugget. Uh, she is also the voice of probably one of my favorite internet characters, or characters in general, the Good Advice Cupcake. And to be totally honest, like, yeah, I go fanboy almost with all of our guests when I'm talking to them. It's like, do you know how cool you are? But I think hers is one of the shortest, but it's also the one I had to edit the most because I kept stumbling over words, kind of going, "You're neat," because I think watching both the Good Advice Cupcake and also watching things like Chicken Nugget inspired me to work on my own some of my own projects. So anyway, I'm rambling. Let me pull this up. Where are we at on time? I said that she was going to be here on 2. So, all right, let me do this and pop this up. So, I'm going to pull in this file. Hey, this is Tony Ross for the 2D Animation Virtual Summit. And kind of like with all the people I'm interviewing, but I'm going to say kind of doubly so if you know anything about the characters I'm working on. I am heavily inspired, influenced by our next guest, the very talented, excuse me, I'm a little fanboy right now, Kyra Kupetsky. And please tell everyone exactly who you are and what you're known for.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm Kyra Kupetsky. I am an animator slash showrunner at BuzzFeed Animation. And I've been working there since 2017. And I make a show called Chicken Nugget.
Excellent. Now, I've recently started watching Chicken Nugget, but the first time I saw your work was dealing with the Good Advice Cupcake.
Yes.
And again, it's just like, it was so, I've always taught my students, like, keep it simple, make it perfect. And that system was like, it was not fancy. It was just like, boom, here you go. And it was brilliantly done. And I've been a fan like ever since. And then watching it blow up and get all the merchandising and all that fun stuff. It's pretty inspirational. So thank you. I appreciate it because I can only assume how busy you are basically, like every time I see stuff popping up. So I did have a couple of questions for you. There's one that I didn't send you, and I've been curious about it. I was looking at some of the recent pieces, not only Chicken Nugget, but also I was looking at the later Good Advice Cupcake. I'm curious, what is your process? Like, it looks like it's changed a little bit as far as the animation. Like maybe, dare I say, more frames, or just kind of, it's like a little more flexible. I'm curious, what is your process and or software that you're using?
So I actually don't work on Good Advice Cupcake anymore.
Oh, okay.
Ever since I started Chicken Nugget in 2020, I am off Good Advice Cupcake, and different animators have taken over.
Okay. All right. That explains that. All right. So my other question is, on Chicken Nugget, what are you using?
So I use Adobe Animate to animate it.
Okay. And let me think, because I'm curious as to, is it just you, or do you have like a team, or?
Yeah, it's a team of people. Started out with just 2 people. Me and my friend Allie were the only ones on it. And then over time, we got extended to have 3 more animators on with me.
Excellent. Okay. That was because I was noticing, I was like, that looks a little different. So my other question would be, and this is a question I'm asking of a lot of people. What do you think is the biggest misconception people have about becoming an animator?
I think, man, it's so hard. I mean, I definitely think there's a lot of people who think it's like super simple and easy, and I don't know. It's a very masochistic art form, but it's really fun. I would think that just people, I think, just don't understand the process of how it works. But I think as soon as you learn about it, you're like, oh my God, I have so much like newfound respect for it.
Excellent. All right. What is your favorite animation tool, if you can actually narrow it down to one?
I do really like Adobe Animate. I do like how it's very good for getting stuff done like pretty quickly, which we have to for Chicken Nugget. It's vector based, so you can like infinitely scale stuff, and you never have to worry about it getting blurry. But I do love TV Paint, which is what I used to use like way back when. Really beautiful stuff. You can make like very Disney quality looking art. And then not even so much for animation, but just for drawing, but you can animate with it. I really love Procreate.
Yes, Procreate's taking the world by storm. I think it's kind of scary awesome. I have not actually messed with it yet. I would just everyone keeps going, yeah, Procreate. And it's like, okay, cool.
It's great.
So you're saying, so what is the average turnaround for an episode of Chicken Nugget?
So for Chicken Nugget, BuzzFeed basically has us on a schedule where we have to put out 3 episodes a week. So all of us get about like a little over a week to animate an episode. But each animator is assigned, including me, is assigned an episode. And they can range from just like 6 seconds long to like a little less than a minute long.
Okay. So are you still, I'm trying to think, do you like are there writers that are you writing it, or just they go, hey, we got this new script here?
Yeah, I do write most of the episodes, but I tell the whole team, anytime you come up with an idea, absolutely just put it in our script section. So yeah, a lot of episodes are now written by other team members, which is really cool.
Very cool. Alrighty. I did ask that question. Okay. Your animation influences, would you say they're more classic or contemporary?
I feel like kind of more contemporary, or I don't know, maybe I'm like aging myself. Maybe some people would consider these more classic, but like Craig McCracken's stuff is really good. I love any sort of like UPA. I guess that's more classic. Very cartoony, thick outline, super like big eyes, big heads kind of thing. Cute anime mascot characters definitely influencing.
Yeah. I'm thinking we're trying to calm down because, oh my God, UPA is my favorite. So it's like that's the one style that I wish that I see not a lot of people actually doing, and it's like, man, that was such an awesome thing, and taking limited animation and using it as an art form versus as a limitation.
Definitely,
a brilliant thing. Really? Let me ask you this question. What genre of 2D animation do you think we need more of?
I definitely would love to see more. I know a lot of people say this, but like more varied adult animation would be cool. I think there's a lot of stories that you can tell in adult animation that are not necessarily like, kind of like the typical sort of primetime stuff we see, like comedy kind of thing. It could be just like super simple, like something like a Gretzko on Netflix does that. Yeah, I don't know, just more variation with animation. I feel like you can go very far.
Coolness. All right, so my last question that we've been asking everyone is, given the advances and availability of software and technology, as well as the growing number of streaming platforms, I would argue there's never been a better time in the history of animation for 2D animators to put out their own products than there is right now. Would you say that's true or false, and why?
I absolutely agree with that. I always encourage people now. I'm like, we have animation software that is like so readily available for us. There's more like kids, like younger kids now than ever getting into animation, doing it. Like, I think we are at like an animation, like 2D animation boom. Definitely. I think that there is just not ever been like an opportunity in time like then now for people to create 2D animation. Just, you don't even need like a studio to help you. You could just do it if you want to. It's great.
Excellent. It's like Yeah, I've definitely felt that way. I was yelling that when YouTube first came out, and I remember telling my students, like, you don't need anyone's permission, just put it up there. And it's like, and now it's gotten into this huge thing where it's all the different places, and you just I was trying to tell someone recently, it's like, dude, you can make your own Roku channel, just go for it. Um, so yeah, I just think it's really crazy, awesome time here.
Yeah.
One thing I didn't ask you. I'm assuming you're using some sort of stylus or a Wacom or something like when you're drawing.
Yes, I am. I'm using a Cintiq. I'm using kind of an older one. It's Cintiq 22 HD.
Okay.
BuzzFeed also gives people them if they need them for work, which is great. But yeah, it's a nice big, like about the size of my computer screen monitor, and you draw directly on the screen, and it is super helpful. But it's just a tool, and whether you could use really simple ones. I know people who use just like a mouse. So, but yeah, it's really helpful.
Okay. I'm trying to think. What else do I want to ask you? Because it's just like, I'm assuming when you're doing your are you still doing the voices for most of the characters or some of the characters, or?
Yes. So even though I'm not animating on Good Advice Cupcake anymore, I still am doing the voice for all the characters that I voiced on that show, and then voicing Chicken Nugget on Chicken Nugget.
I am like, and it's. Have you? Do people actually bug you about that? And it's like, oh my god, do the voice, do the voice, do the voice, because I'm not asking you to do the voice. I'm just saying. But yeah, it's just. Go ahead.
Yeah, sometimes people will be like, "Oh, did you do the voice?" And it's really funny because it's such a high pitched voice.
It is, and it's like, I don't know. It's just the idea of, I don't know, just the concept of that. It just fit. I did have one. I think I'll throw one last question toward you. If you had to explain, what's the difference? What is that little? Give it the one sentence breakdown. What's the difference between Good Advice Cupcake versus Chicken Nugget?
Ooh, that is a good question. Good Advice Cupcake. So it's created by Lauren Brantz. So a lot of the episodes, or most of the episodes, were written by her. So that one was geared more towards like an adult, like female audience of like, I'd say like millennials and older.
Okay.
So there was a lot of focus on like that age group when we were making that. And then for Chicken Nugget, I'd say it like skews younger, like a bit more Gen Z millennial.
Okay.
And yeah, I've noticed that because Instagram and other websites show you statistics. Chicken Nugget, interestingly, has like a 50-50 gender split of people that watch it, which is so cool.
Wow.
So yeah, people of all genders are watching it, which is really exciting.
Very cool. Well, Kyra, thank you again so much. I don't want to take up that much of your time. It's
No.
because I'm trying to figure out, like, I want to talk to you about everything. Like, let's hang out, let's do all the stuff. But yeah, I'm trying to think of. Oh yeah, okay. I'll throw one toward you, and whether you can talk about this or not.
Sure.
If you could snap your fingers and be instantly working on your dream project, what would that be as far as animation? And does that dream change a lot?
Ooh, that is hard. I think when I first entered animation, like a lot of people, I was like, oh, I want to work at like Cartoon Network or Disney or something. And I think like, through your animation journey, you kind of discover like, oh, maybe I actually want to do a different thing. So, now that I have my own show at BuzzFeed, that's been really fulfilling and exciting for me. But yeah, if I was asked like, ooh, what would you love to work on in the industry? Like if they made this a show, I would really love if they ever made a cartoon of Good Omens, which is a show I really love. I would definitely want to work on it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's mostly it.
Love it. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us. And this has been Tony Ross for the 2D Animation Virtual Summit with Kyra Kupetsky, excuse me, almost got that wrong. Thanks again. Say bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was great talking.
All right. Thanks again. Bye.
Bye.
Alrighty. I just realized she did the voice right at the end. It's like, yeah, I'm a huge fan. So just being there, not going like, do the voice, do the voice. Like, I'm going to be remain cool. Let her talk normal. But yeah, if you haven't watched it yet, definitely look up Chicken Nugget. And it's Chikin, and then Nuggit. And also the Good Advice Cupcake, where she's still doing the voice. She's not doing the animation on it anymore. But yeah, both of those are hilarious. Okay, so next up, we are going to try an experiment. So, in theory, I think Mike is going to come along. Mr. Morris. Thank you, Kyra. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Eric. Yeah, the humor on both of them is definitely hilarious. Like I love. It's definitely I don't want to say not safe for work, but it's like the language of one of the songs that I know. What is it? The Good Advice Cupcake. One of the songs they do is "Give Less F's," but it's kind of to the sing of "Be Our Guest." Hold on one second. Yes. Yes. Okay. All right. All right. I'm going to jump off the line and jump back on because I'm also on mic. So, all right. See if you can get in. All right. Yay! Playing with all the technologies. That's Mike. I'm seeing if we can actually get into the show. Got an interview mode on. Hopefully it'll work. Da, 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 da. So, in theory, this should kind of work. Wait a minute, what time is it? Oh yeah, great. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so still the same thing. Okay, great. Had to make sure it's still the same link. Alrighty, so you will find out either today if this works. That'll be awesome. Excuse me. While I'm waiting, let me dial back over here to Mr. Cat. Hello, Mr. Cat. Let's go there. Getting to know you. Okay, let's go back over here. Answer. Great. Hey. Guest is in the green room. Cool. How do we add? Hold on one second. I don't want you on the right, probably. And you, I can add to the left, I guess. Okay, cool. Mike, can you hear me at all?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can. How goes it?
All right.
So,
Excellent.
We're gonna see. By the way, this is Mike Morris. Say hi.
Hi.
All right. So, Mike, who the hell are you and why you're here?
Well, I am a storyboard artist and director working in the animation industry in Southern California. So I've been working for about 15, 16 years now, professionally. Started out on The Simpsons and have worked on projects. I did a little bit for Princess and the Frog years ago. I worked on some shows at Disney TV, most notably DuckTales 2017. And then I've worked on a lot of basically like adult animated shows. Like I worked on Housebroken for Fox. I worked on a show called Mulligan, which is coming up on Netflix pretty soon. And most recently finished up a little gig at Titmouse.
Very cool.
Thanks.
So, we're going to attempt to see this. Do you see anything on your screen that says that you can screen share it all?
Yes, I do, but I also have this little handy thing. Boom!
Oh, look at you. I want to be you when I grow up.
I also do a show with Toon Boom.
Yes.
On Twitch called The Collaboratory, where we storyboard live to audience prompt. So I think we talked about doing a little bit of that, right?
Yes, just a little bit of that. I know one thing that I want that kicks my butt whenever I'm teaching storyboard. It's totally hold on one second. My voice is with an echo effect. Is it still echoing? Eric, is it still echoing? I hope not.
It's not echoing on my end.
Hold on one second. Let me make sure my mics are off. Not echoing from me. Hopefully not.
Are you hearing an echo on my end?
I don't hear one. So.
Okay. Well, that's good.
So yeah, I know the one thing that kicks my butt a lot is working with doing like a multi-plane or like something inside of Storyboard versus doing it inside of Harmony.
Oh yeah. Well, the 3D capability in Storyboard is rather prolific. Actually, I've had a bit of experience doing 3D sets, building them in Storyboard Pro.
Ooh.
But if you're talking about like just a straight up just multi-plane sort of move, I think those are not too bad actually. But you do have to make sure that your layers are very well kept. Otherwise, it's not gonna look as good. And sometimes there's a little bit of finicky stuff that happens with any kind of layer that needs to fly through the camera. So
Hold on one sec. I'm seeing if I can see if I can actually get rid of your echo, because there was like, man, there is an echo. I was like, God dang it! Hold on. Yeah, so this is the first time we're actually trying this. The fact that the screen is up anyway is awesome.
okay.
Let's see. Let me see if I can do the following.
Kind of nice having a little avatar at the bottom of the screen that can still, green and some. I need to get a green screen though, because I think the automatic green screen isn't quite working so well.
Okay, hold on one second. Let me try this. La 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 la.
Well, in the meantime, I think since we are going to get this thing sort of started up, I will start drawing. And I think in honor of Halloween, we should draw something that is like some Transylvanian castle or something way in the distance.
I like.
I think, what I'll do is I'll start on layer A, and we'll do the castle on layer A, and get some kind of like, actually, let's give that a little bit of perspective here. I think the main tower. Up the sky. Maybe we'll put Do another one of those peaked roofs up here. Some sort of castle wall with the crenellated battlements. And of course, we're just doing this fast, so we don't have to worry about crazy amounts of detail in our artwork like we do in the collaboratory. But if you guys do get a chance, all of you watching, come check us out. And I storyboard an improv session, like live to audience suggestions. So it's really fun. We have a good time when we do it.
So you're a huge fan of the what is that? The line tool?
I'm actually not using the line tool. I'm using the brush tool. But if you just hold down Shift, it will straighten out for you. And if you push Shift and Alt, it'll constrain to 90-degree angles.
All right, that I didn't know.
Oh yeah, yeah. I almost always use the brush tool. I hardly ever use the line tool unless I'm in Harmony, where that is much more handy. Okay, so let's do that. We'll make this a little bit smaller, and then we'll put it on some sort of crazy hill. You all familiar with Castle Ravenloft from Dungeons and Dragons lore? Something kind of in that grain. The windy path. Maybe that drops down a little bit like that. And then we'll put a layer on top. Some sort of continuation of that road. And then some foreground elements of creepy trees or some sort of foreground element that we can really use to drive home that multiplane. And I'm going to make the castle just a little bit smaller in the distance and taller. Then we can get some even more multiplane-esque type structures here. And we'll make this ground a little bit erratic and almost sinister and volcanic, Some of that like Mordor type stuff. One thing you want to also do is make sure that you follow through with your shapes, because they're going to be doing some overlapping. So you want to make sure that you give it a good, nice bit of space for these shapes.
Now, is that in general or just when you're talking about doing a multiplane?
I'm talking about doing a multiplane. I think in general it also helps too for editing reasons. As a director, a lot of the times when I'm working on something and somebody only does like to the bare minimum of coverage, sometimes that is not as beneficial as if they had drawn the whole thing out, because it gives you a little bit of editing space. So you have the wherewithal to be able to change it if you need to a little bit easier. If it's all drawn out in a more comprehensive way.
Coolness.
Give this some good switchbacks. And then, of course, we need scary mountains and such in the background. Stuff that's going to help draw one's eye to the castle.
So if you're wondering why I'm quiet, it's like I figured out the echo is coming from if my mic is on and your interview mic is on, it echoes.
Oh, okay. Well, now we know.
Yeah, I don't hear it. You don't hear it, but they do. So
Well, I'm sorry, people. Echoing is not fun. We're a generally anti-echo group, but today is the exception, I think. And then also, let's put in a nice, moon with spooky clouds. And now I'm using the line tool because that's how you do that with making, elliptoids that are actually nice, and you don't have to like painstakingly scribble to make it happen. But I want to still make it a brush tool thing, so I can go to convert pencil lines to brush strokes, and then we have it as a standard brush stroke. So we'll add a little bit of moonness to it. Like that. And then let's turn this like a gray so it doesn't compete. All right. And then let's see. Let's finish up this this spooky tree, right? I'm going to use a turn on my light table here so I can see my layer that I'm working on a little bit more clearly. And then I'm just going to sort of brush in some rough foliage. Maybe some crazy looking, harsh landscaping.
by the way, Cassidy, I the entire summit I wear headphones. So it's I think it's because we're playing with several pieces of software to make this happen. So like I'm using Ecamm Live, and I think Mike's using a different thing. So it's our first experiment with this. We'll probably make it work better the next time, but right now I'm just doing the little mute trick.
Here we go. All right. So that's something that's serviceable. It's not perfect, but it's serviceable for the purposes of what we need it for. Maybe we can even go in and add in just a little gray, some details so we know what we're looking at. You put like a hooting owl or something in there generally too, but we don't have time for that. Not today. Okay, cool. So there's some nice foreground element. And then let's go through and just do some filling. So I'm going to do this. And in this case, I'm going to use a solid vector brush just so it fills a little bit more evenly. So I'm just going to get my paint bucket out and then plop some color in. Tone, at any rate. My caveat's always like, well, the artwork could be better. Yes, it could be better, but this is just for illustrative purposes, and we don't need to worry about that quite as much right now. Okay. Let's get some started.
Well, it's a hell of a lot better than I could do this quickly. So.
Well, thank you. All right. Okay. Cool. Let's get that castle. And then one of the neat features that I've really come to enjoy quite a bit in the news edition of Storyboard Pro 20 and on. I don't know. 20 has a special place in my heart because I have artwork on the splash screen of that one. So that kind of like, that's my version, kind of, Anyway, so if you turn on this little icon that looks just like a red button there, it will autofill whatever you draw out. You have to make sure that you close up your lines okay. But if you draw like one straight continuous line through, it will autofill for you, which is nice. Very nice.
That is nice.
And let's give the castle just a little bit of moon highlight so it looks nice and creepy and ominous. Let's light up that road a little bit so we can see it. Turn up the size of that brush, make this easier. Okay. Now we have background, we've got moon. Let's give that a little bit of color as well. A little tone. And then we're going to add a couple more layers. Let's rename this from thumb to moon. And then we'll put one big flat tone in the background or maybe a gradient. So it's easily done by just taking a rectangle, drawing it out, and just filling it with whatever color you want. Let's do that. Turn off our light and see if the tones are playing okay. They are not. So this castle needs to be darker. There we go. Now it's standing out a bit better.
Sweet.
Okay. And the moon obviously still has a couple problems, but we're not going to worry about that too awful much. Fill that in. Okay, cool. Now let's get some clouds in there. We'll do some layer motion drift, which is always fun. A good friend, a fellow by the name of Ben Risbeck, once reminded me when I had put clouds behind the moon. Clouds never go behind the moon, just so you know.
I have never thought about that. That actually does make sense now.
Yeah, atmospherically, it just is impossible. So, for any of you out there who have done it, shame on you. But now you know.
It does sound like an awesome name for a song, though. Clouds Behind the Moon.
Sure. All right, strike up your band, Tony. Get those guys working. Okay, so we've got some passable artwork that we're working with here, and we'll put a little bit of highlight on these clouds just because we can. Make things spooky. All right, so now we're going to get into the multiplane aspect of it. Okay. Now, the first thing we need to do is turn this 2D scene into a 3D scene, okay? And we're going to do that with this this little enable 3D for current scene button, okay? So, boom, we're going to do that. Now we have access to some new tools. This one, we're going to use the 3D navigation. And so now I can change this and move it around in 3D space, all right? And that's, I usually like to leave it in a perspective about this so I can see where my layers are moving off to. You can also do different views, like side view, so we can see camera and all these different layers. See this big line right in the middle here? Those are all of our layers, and they're all stacked on top of one another right now. But if we go back to the camera view, the stage view, we can see that they're all in this space. Okay, going to this tool called Maintain Size. Now this is going to keep the visual scale in the camera view, but still move it forward in space. So I'm going to move these. That's the wrong layer. I'm going to take this layer here and move this tree forward. See how it's shrinking when it gets closer to the camera? If we come over to the camera view, it's still maintaining the same size. Right? I'm moving it back and forth, but on the camera view here on my right, it doesn't change. Okay? And then we'll move this area here forward a little bit. And then we'll move this forward just a little bit. Then we'll move the castle forward just a little bit. Then we'll move this toned background back. We'll move the moon back. So now if we look at it, we'll go back to our navigation. They're all sort of staggered a bit. Now, one of the things that we need to realize about these sort of camera moves is that the closer things are together, the less parallax we're going to have, right? And the more distance that we have between those, the more parallax that we're going to see in any sort of camera move, because it is reaching the camera quicker, right? Also, speaking of the camera, we go from just a static camera to this sort of setup where it has like this cone, right? And so when we move back and forth, we can see now in the camera view. Let me just make that bigger so you can see it better. Camera view here on the right side of the screen. As I zoom in and out, you can see that things are sort of, doing that parallax effect. And again, this is why I say that, you should finish off all of your artwork. Because now our tree on the right side is not playing ball. But of course we can fix that by just making it bigger, making it taller. Rearranging it in the scene. So it's not impossible to fix, but sometimes it's just a pain in the butt. And, honestly, you should probably put some element on the right side of the screen too, like some sort of poor man on a cart, that's heading toward the castle. Okay, back to the camera. So we can sort of go through this scene here, and we'll see the parallax effect as we go through. Now I'm gonna do a little bit more, in that I'm going to grab the moon, push the moon back a little bit more. And let's push these clouds back a little bit more. Okay, again, you see how it's shrinking and moving in space?
Yeah.
There we go. All right. Whoops. So let's set some keyframes for this camera. We'll start like this. It's even more apparent as you pan over. Let's go right here. We'll start here and add a keyframe. So now our camera's turned green, indicating that this is our keyframe for the start. And then I'm going to hit end on my keyboard and drop a keyframe. So now we have the ending keyframe. And we're going to take that ending keyframe and zoom in up on that castle. If you do things in combination with the camera view gives that nice 2D plane that we're used to. So that sometimes can make those moves a little easier if you're not as familiar with this particular type of camera.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Did you just say you pressed the end key on your keyboard to get to the end?
Yep, the home key and the end key will get you to the front and back of a panel.
You're kidding me.
Nope, I'm not kidding you. It's the honest truth. Watch. Home key, end key, home key, end key, home key, end key. Watch as it goes, and it does that for any panel. And honestly, when I do my shortcuts for Storyboard Pro, the two buttons you're going to use the most often are previous panel and next panel, right? And so, to not confuse my fingers, going back and forth between Harmony and Storyboard Pro, I just set those to F and G. And that sort of cascades down. You got to change a couple other things afterward, but setting my preferences to F and G makes going between Harmony and Storyboard Pro that much easier when you're flipping back and forth between panels. But in order to go home to the front of the panel and to the end of that particular panel. All right. So here we go. We've got this camera move with a little bit of parallax. And one other thing I think we can do also is just add a little bit of layer motion. I'm going to go to Home, and I'm going to go to this Cloud layer. And I'm going to click on this Layer Transform tool over here. And we're going to start these clouds a little bit over this way. And then click on this little icon of the man standing still, and it turns them into running, which is going to drop a keyframe down here at the bottom of our timeline panel. I'm pushing end, and then I'm going to move. Oops, I don't want to rotate those, just want to move them. Like that. It's actually quite sophisticated what you can do with just Storyboard Pro.
I often thought you could do maybe like a motion comic with it almost.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely you could. You can do a motion comic. You can, I mean, it's made for animatics, so motion comic would be right up that alley. We can also do some things, and this is where making larger shapes oversized really helps. That we can do some more multi-plane shifting, right, with our panel. So I'm going to push Home, and then on this bit of road right here, I'm going to set a keyframe and go to end. And that I'm just going to push down a little. Actually, probably push up a little bit. And do the same thing for this other here. Go to Home, set the keyframe, end, push up. Almost like the mountains are rising with you, But when you look at it in its context, it feels a little bit more natural. So as you move in, it gives a little bit more feeling that you are. Maybe that's a little too drastic, but that's something that you want to play with a little bit. Now, one other thing that a lot of people want to know is like, okay, I'm ready to draw on my stuff again. I want to fix this tree that doesn't look great, But in this view, you can turn it back to you or whatever, and then push on your button. But then you see this, I can't draw on that layer icon. So what you want to do is go to this one that says Look at Selected, this little teeny button next to the zoom level. And then you push on that, and that gets you right to where you can edit your artwork again. So brush. Make that brush a little smaller. And then I can start editing this artwork again, giving it various little knobs and extra foliage and stuff that we need to have on there.
Very cool.
All right. What do you say we add a little bit of extra something on there?
Like?
How about a bat flying through? Okay, so now we have our layer motion, right? It looks like I drew some stuff on the wrong layer, maybe?
I wasn't going to say it.
You weren't going to say it? Well, it's okay. I won't be offended if you say it. But only if you say it. If anybody else in the audience says it, I'm going to be upset. No, they can say anything they want. It doesn't matter. We're doing this fast, so there's no right or wrong. There's no any of that. It's just we're doing a wonderful little example. All right, so I'm going to take this C layer here, and I'm going to draw a bat. So let's get a nice bit of batness.
Let me hit you with the ultimate question that everyone always does. Do I have to know how to draw to be like a storyboard artist or a story artist?
It definitely helps. If you want to do it professionally, then heck yeah, you need to know how to draw. No one's going to hire you if you can't draw. And I'm sorry if that breaks some bubbles, but that's just the reality of the situation, you know? So yes, learning how to draw is absolutely beneficial, and you should, because drawing is awesome. You should learn how to do it anyway. And honestly, talent is great. Being a talented person at drawing is awesome. But a lot of this you can learn too. You can learn it and grow it with it and understand it. It's like anything else in life. You will get out of it what you put into it, right? And if you spend your time studying it and developing your skills and being honest with yourself about your progress, I think that you'll do really well, And that's my opinion on a lot of that sort of stuff. Like if you're going to work in animation professionally, yes, you should learn how to draw. Do you have to be the best artist in the world? No. But you do have to be confident. I hope that answers the question.
Definitely.
Okay, cool. So we got this bat here. And if we wanted to, we could really get into making its wings flap and all that stuff. But we're just gonna go with straight up layer motion on this one. And now, where the tool that with this maintain size tool, we're not going to use that on this one. We're going to straight up use the layer transform tool. And I'm going to push home. I'm going to drop a keyframe. And soon, one thing that you'll notice also is that this this transform gizmo here is not, it's centered on the layer itself. It's not centered on the artwork. But if you want to fix that, you come over here and there's a little button that says center pivot on selection, which is going to put it right on the center of that particular layer.
Is
So
that
now
there
I have
automatic?
Huh?
Is that there automatically, or did you add that?
I added that. So before it centers to the center of that screen. So it's the automatic position of any pivot point for any layer is going to be in the center of the screen. But if you only have a little bit of artwork on there and you want it to be centered to the actual artwork itself, just push this center pivot on selection, and it's going to put it right smack in the middle of that layer. And I'm going to put it just on the center of this bat's body here. That's going to give it, I think, a little bit of extra. And now I'm going to move it in space. Now, it's going to get bigger. If I use this tool, it's going to get bigger in space as I go along. See that in the camera move versus the stage view?
Yeah.
I'm going to start him back here and then move this. I'm going to zoom in on this thing here too. I'm going to move this keyframe over a little bit so he doesn't start right away. And then here, I will get him into the frame. Whoops. You got to be careful sometimes so you don't go over layers that you shouldn't be going over. And sometimes you'll have to just shrink them automatically. Or you just have to shrink them manually, not automatically. So coming in here, and let's drop another keyframe by just moving this. And then shrinking them down. And then dropping another keyframe by moving it further. Let's let's give that a little bit more time. Then we'll shrink that down in the camera view because you can do a better, what's the word I'm looking for? You can do a better ratio scale. That's what I'm looking for. So it maintains the ratio of it. And then this will make sure when you scale that you're on the keyframe that you want to be on. Otherwise, that could cause problems for you. I'm going to go to end. And we're going to do one more keyframe with this bat flying up to the castle and shrink it down, scaling it to its ratio. And then what we have is this. Let's play it and see how it looks. Too fast. So we'll just draw out the actual panel, and then all those frames will adjust in the same ratio that they're. I don't know. I don't know what the exact word is, but it scales it. It scales those keyframes out according to how much time has been given to it.
So it keeps your timing in proportion, I guess?
Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. Keep your timing in proportion. Thank you, Tony. I knew someone would be able to articulate it. It's just not me. Yeah, it's proportional. That's the word I'm looking for. So it gives it just a little bit, and honestly, if we were going to, make a real run of this, we would take that same camera move, make sure the camera move is to the timing that we want and to the timing that we would like, and then animate a flapping bat on top of it, right? And even then, you can use this, layer transform tool to put your layer in the correct spots. It's a little bit more of a manual process, and you'll be breaking up in panels, so that makes it easier. But it's a little bit more manual process than just doing it through layer transform. And you can see, if I, move around a little bit on the stage here, you can see the bat. It shows you that layer path in 3D space.
Sweet.
So it actually, kind of truncates a little bit after it flies straight into the screen. It gets a little flatter. This is what we see when we, go through it. And here, that bat probably should be quite a bit smaller. And if we wanted to, like I said, if we were going to animate this thing, then we could, go ahead and chop up parts of everything. Although it will mess with your keyframes because they'll be panel based at that point instead of being one solid group of keyframes. It's going to split all those up. So if you have to redo your move again, you're going to have to do what's called spreading the layer motion. But I don't think we're going to have to do that. I'm just going to get my cutter tool. And I'm going to cut that wing. I'm going to bring it down like that. I'm going to take this wing. I'm going to cut that one down too. And of course, this is just the quick and dirty solution. To that.
That brings me to mind, where are you on the argument of quit animating in your animatics?
My opinion is this, and this was something that I learned from the great Matt Youngberg, who was our supervising director on DuckTales. If you are working with a foreign studio, right, you're not doing all your animation in-house, what's not in the board will not show up on screen. So, although I do not care particularly for the idea that producers have bulked in basically character layout into storyboards, because this shouldn't be in storyboards necessarily, but for a good product back from an animation studio overseas, if it's not on the board, it won't show up on screen. So right now, I think it's a necessary evil until collective bargaining from the union or something can try and get back character layout. Because having worked on The Simpsons for years, I started in character layout, and that's one of the reasons that The Simpsons has better acting than a lot of primetime shows, is because they actually have people doing the character layouts and doing a lot of that great acting. So it's absolutely necessary for a good product if you're not animating in-house. If you are like a small shop and you know you're going to be animating stuff just on the premises there, with the director being over the entire process, you don't have to worry about that as much, because the director will help the animators bring out those performances. But if it's just a matter of we're doing all the pre-production and sending it overseas, then for a better product, I would err on the side of putting that on the board. Controversial maybe, but necessary a lot of the time.
Quick question. And this is to the crowd. Is anyone else? Is anyone else getting? Is the video breaking up, or is it choppy, or is it running smooth? Are we still good?
I don't know. All right, I'm splitting this up a little bit more, and I'm going to do that same thing here. Again, I'm just going to cut it. Because messing with the artwork and like trying to duplicate those same sizes can get kind of janky over time. But we're just, again, this is our quick and dirty solution.
Definitely hamburger client and not steak client.
But right now, I think we're at the Beanie Weenie client.
Damn it! Now I want beanie weenie.
Sorry, Tony. The mac and cheese and hot dogs client.
It's like this is our fried bologna sandwich budget. So yeah.
Well, I think we're just getting worse and worse as time goes on. I'm sorry, sir. We've been reduced to saltine crackers and water.
Wait, how old are those crackers? They can't be new.
They've only been in my pantry for 6 months. Open. So flap, 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 glide, and then flap and glide some more. And that's how you can do some of that kind of motion in there and get a reasonable result. Again, I would err on the side of just animating that bat and not doing the layer motion on it, but I mean, that takes time. So if you need to do some things in a hurry, then that's a decent way to accomplish that task.
Sweet.
And that's how you would set up, in a general sense, one of those pans, or a layer, multiplying layer motion. Now you can get really, really, really like crazy with those too, like building out a 3D set, making everything like super crazy and intricate and involved. But that takes time. And sometimes it even requires doing a little bit of 3D modeling and bringing in a 3D model, textured, You can do that in a 3D package. Bring that in. A friend of mine did some work for me recently in Blender and Photoshop. We brought that into Toon Boom, Storyboard Pro, and it worked really well. And it does take a little bit of computing power, though. So I would say if you're going to do it, only do the necessary elements that you can't do outside of Storyboard Pro.
Very nice.
Yeah. So what else, Tony? What else? Any other questions that our audience has, or stuff that we should go over while we're right here?
Yeah. Any questions? Like what's I feel like I'm in class now. Any questions? Everyone with me?
Well, on my Twitch stream on the Collaboratory, we stream twice a month. And in the beginning, the first episode of that month, we come up with the idea using two characters generally, a setting, and a conflict for the little story that we are going to create. And all of that is provided by suggestions from our audience. Whoever happens to be watching the Twitch stream, we have a wonderful producer, Janelle, who will be getting those suggestions and moderating it to our co-host. But we do it all through audience suggestion and participation, and it's pretty fun. And then the second time we cap it off and we ask the audience, well, how should this end? And in honor of Halloween month, this last Collaboratory, we had actually I can show you guys. Should I just show everybody?
Yes, please.
Okay, let's open up our last Collaboratory here. Collaboratory episode 22. This was also Halloween themed, like I mentioned. We did a little short called Dead Air.
Eric says, thanks, Mike. It's a pleasure to watch you working. Darren says, when do you stream next?
We stream next, I think, is Wednesday, November 2nd on Toon Boom Animation's Twitch channel. So this scene is something that I probably should have put some multiplane on right here. So we have this plane flying through this Transylvanian type rough landscape with lightning crashes and stuff. And this was all done in the course of about 2 hours total of work. So we cut to the interior of the cabin where the vampire pilots, we are finishing our descent into Transylvania. Please put your tray tables up in their upright positions and hold on to your blood. And it is about 4:30. 4:30! And he looks at a little dusty gauge. He wipes off the dust. And you see that the sun is starting to rise and the moon is starting to go down. The dawn! And he frantically calls for his head stewardess. Stewardess, come join me in the cockpit, please. And this mummified stewardess comes in. And he turns around and says, look at the dial, the dawn is approaching. What do I do? And she goes, and comes over to this little, pull string. And down falls some sunglasses, kind of like how those oxygen masks would fall down.
Awesome.
Then we're going to cut to this bipack of the approaching dawn. And at first it's fine. Okay. And then he starts to sizzle. And sunglasses aren't providing enough protection. And so the sun's starting to burn him up. And we cut in on the stewardess. And she reaches over and pulls toward her a little werewolf steward. And so we cut to the hookup of the steward, and he just gets shaked and shaken, so all of his hair starts falling off. and all of his hair starts to get everywhere, all in the cabin, and blocks out all the windows with all of his amazing amounts of shedding hair, except for the one spot where he needs to look through that is going to be blocked by his sunglasses. And that's how we left it.
Awesome.
So that was about 2 hours worth of thumbnail boarding.
No mats?
What?
Were you not using what is that thing called? When you do the little auto mats to do so you actually had a white background?
We didn't have time to do automatting. Not this time. I mean, we could. It's not terribly difficult. The thing with automatting, though, is you have to make sure that all your shapes are closed up really well, so that automat will know where to start and stop.
Yes.
So we just didn't really have time for it. Again, when we do collaboratory, it's fast, it's quick. We have to make sure that we're making consistent progress and getting through our stories. And sometimes it can get a little hectic there toward the end. I'm furiously scribbling, but we get through it, and it's a really good time. So, and storyboarding as a craft, and it is a craft. It's an art and a craft. It's the bedrock of the first visuals that we see, right? It is the storytelling. As we all know, story is king. Design is awesome, but story is king. And storyboarding makes so big a difference on productions that anybody will work on, right? Especially if you're really talented at what you do, you're good with cinematography, you're good with acting. You are a mini director as a storyboard artist. And it's such an important part of the process of making animated films and live action films.
Very cool.
And remember, for those of you who are looking for work, there's about 4 board artists for every design lead.
That was a question that people kept always saying, like, yeah, how do you find your first storyboard job? And I'm like,
Well, I mean, for me, I went about it in a very non-traditional way, because, like I said, I started on The Simpsons in character layout, and I didn't get to boards until several years of doing board revisions. So I would say that's probably the best way to do it, is if you can get a job as a board revisionist, and unless you're just bonkers great at storyboarding and they want to hire you right out the gate as a board artist. But before you think about getting a job, it's like Steve Martin said, before you get an agent, get good. So draw storyboards, make stories, make your own little animatic films, and then post them online. I think that's the best way to really get started. And then go to shows like Lightbox and Cartoon Talent Network Expo, CTNX. Go to DesignerCon and some of those other ones to meet people. Learn who is out there, make friends. And, sometimes it's all about who you know. And your friends can have a beat on jobs that are coming around that you may not even be privy to, Like, when I first left The Simpsons, the second time I left The Simpsons, actually, it was because a buddy of mine said, hey, our show needs some board artists. What are you doing? And I said, hey, I'm just working on The Simpsons, but, talk to me. I'm listening. And I ended up going over there to that show because, a friend of mine tipped me off that it was happening. And I wouldn't have known otherwise. So friends in this industry are really important, and helping your friends out is always really important, with little projects and things. Whatever you can do to get your name out there and get your work out there is good.
something that Mark Simon taught me like years ago. He's like, people hire who they know and trust, and if who they know and trust aren't available, they ask who they know and trust, who do they know and trust. So yeah, that's a really cool thing about networking and just kind of staying out there.
And if you get a recommendation from a friend, it is then incumbent upon you to make that friend look good. And if you don't, that's going to reflect poorly on them. And if it reflects poorly on them, chances are that friend's not going to recommend you again because they have a reputation to maintain. So do a great job.
Definitely. I'll say to that, I have a few friends who shall remain nameless because business-wise they've lost their name with me. So it's like, yeah, I've been through that once or twice. I'm like, yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten the shaft a couple times with people that I've recommended, and that's not a good feeling, because not only is they're your friend, and you would think that they would have your back, but they I mean, we don't have to go down that road talking about like how it's really annoying or really hurtful or whatever that when a friend doesn't come through. Just know that if you are the person who's being recommended, just come through for it. You don't have to worry about it. Just make sure that you're doing the best work you can do, and make your friend look like a rock star for bringing you on. I actually had an experience with that on one of the shows that I worked on. A friend of mine was looking for work, and I said, "Hey, our show is hiring some people for this job. Why don't you come over and take a look?" And it didn't quite work out as well as I was hoping it would. And then there was another guy that I brought onto that show who like kicked some serious butt, and it was awesome for him because it was his first gig. He was super hungry, and he knocked it out of the park. And eventually, they kept him on a different show because he was just really doing well. So be that kind of guy who, or gal who comes in and just, starts killing it.
Coolness. All right. I think we're going to sign off for today before I completely fall over. Let's got to get ready for the next day. Mike, I won. Thank you for reaching out. For those of you who don't know, it's like the one thing I love about this summit being that it's not a staff of people, it's me. And so I can make a decision. Like Mike shot me an email yesterday that said, "Hey, so I hear the summit's next week." I said, "Actually, it's this week. What you doing? Let's make it happen." And yeah, it's like, yeah, I'm not busy. Let's do it. I was like, all right, let's try this. Let's see if it works. And yes, we got the technical stuff figured out, even the echo, I think. So yeah, this is gonna be awesome.
Well, thanks for having me on, Tony. It's been a blast.
Agreed. All right, this has been Tony Ross for the 2D Animation Virtual Summit. At the close of day 3 here, it's been pretty decent. We'll try to shoot out an email. We have some more. I want to see if I got to see where we're going to get Joanna Davidovich dropped in. I think tomorrow-ish or Friday, because those are the last 2 days. But yeah, it's been real. Eric says, "Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Tony." All right, Mike, say bye.
Bye. See you later.
All right, everybody, have a good one.